Hi, and welcome to this session with Databricks, simplifying data analytics and AI with a Lakehouse platform. My name is Amine. I run the partner solution architect team at Databricks for Asia Pac and Japan. And today is my pleasure to introduce you to Databricks. We are the data and AI company. We invented and we pioneered on the data lakehouse paradigm that I will going to present today. We are a Gartner recognized leader for both database management system as well as data science and machine learning platforms. And we're also the co-founders and creators of really highly successful open source projects like Delta Lake, Apache Spark, and MLflow. So far, Databricks raised over $3 billion in investment. We have 3,000 employees around the world. And more important, we have a pretty global adoption with over 6,000 customers, from Fortune 500 customers to unicorns in any single segments. Our mission at Databricks is to democratize data and AI. First, I think we can all agree on the fact that software is eating the world. And if you see about all those large companies around that are appearing right now, well, Airbnb just revolutionized hospitality. Netflix is a de facto standard for entertainment. When it comes to transportation, Uber became the de facto standard with other companies like Grab or Gojek and so on. Tesla is revolutionizing the way we're driving and building cars. Well, when it was a proper statement 10 years ago, what we're seeing at Databricks is that AI is eating software. The next wave of disruption is actually AI. In 10 years, you will have to adopt data and AI. When we look at all the numbers, well, first of all, Gartner is saying that around 4 trillion will be created in terms of business value in 2022. And it's not a new thing. Most of the leaders agreed. MIT Sloan ran a survey where most of the CEOs are saying this is strategic priorities. They want to leverage data and AI, and they want to use AI to gain some benefits, and we use, in the right way and do some predictions and all those kind of things. But the challenge is 87% of them are saying that data science initiatives are never making it to production. Still, in 10 years, every single company will be a data analytics and AI company. And the way we see it at Databricks, the way we discuss with our customers is that we first try to understand what they want to do. We have this notion of maturity curve on the data and AI journey. And what we're talking is a journey from hindsight to foresight, from what happened to what will going to happen, and finally, how you will be able to automate and make all the best decisions. The red side, the left side, is actually what's going on today. Most of the companies manage to get access to clean data, having ETL pipelines and data quality pipelines to refine and create and enrich their data sets. Now they can create reports, they can run ad hoc queries on top of it and do some data exploration. And that's great. You will be able to perform business decisions running on BI reports based on what happened. But nowadays, companies really want to leverage data and AI to go on the right side of the maturity curve, which is what will going to happen. And this is all about predictive modeling, machine learning and data science, prescriptive analytics, all those kind of things. But how do we get from here to there? How do you get from the left side to the right side? Well, there's several options here. The first one is that you could build it yourself. That's what the FANG did, right? And they were quite successful at it. If you look after Meta or Netflix or Uber, they're all leveraging data and AI to make proper decisions. And they're, of course, transforming the business and getting large benefits and so on. Well, the challenge is it's super expensive and it's highly time consuming. Talking about Meta, they invested more than $100 million in their data and AI platform. Netflix is leveraging more than 1,000 data engineers. And finally, Uber took 10 years to build from scratch the data and AI framework. Well, what we're seeing at Databricks is that the next generation of FANGs are choosing to buy versus build. Why just spending like this amount of money and having a lot of time to recreate something from scratch while you can leverage the top solutions and the top frameworks of the industry? So those companies here Instacart, Stripe, Rivian, Coinbase, DoorDash, Square, and so on, well, they actually have the money. They don't have the time. They want to use data and AI in a really fast manner, and they need to gain insights right now. The second option is to leverage the cloud vendors, right? Google, AWS, Microsoft, they're all providing services. They're all providing data and AI services. But the challenge is that the world is now a multi-cloud world. Most of the customers want to run on multiple clouds, and it makes sense. You just want to leverage every single public cloud to what they're best at, and being able to run some of your workloads in Google, some of your workloads in Azure, and the rest on AWS, for example, leveraging the best cost and the best benefits. So we need to provide a platform which is able to be multi-cloud. Option 3 is to use a cloud data warehouse like Snowflake. Well, the big challenge is that those data warehouses are not designed to support the right side of the curve. They're not designed to support AI workload. So you're now in a situation where, hey, that's good. You can do as usual, running on those like decades old kind of like enterprise data warehouses systems, and you can do data exploration. But when it comes to all things AI, when it comes to machine learning, you will not be able to use it. And the option 4 is kind of the de facto till now of what we are seeing amongst all our customers, both Fortune 500 as well as unicorns. Well, they will going to leverage data warehouses for BI on the left side of the curve, and they will going to leverage data lake for AI. And it works, to an extent. Data warehouses, great for structured data, BI exploration, data exploration, all those kind of things. It's great. On the right side of the house, well, data lake, yes, can handle semi-structured, unstructured data. They can do machine learning, data science, all those kind of things. But guess what? They're not designed to work together. Coexistence is never a right strategy. First of all, they're coming from different worlds. Data warehouses are decades old, based on relational database systems, while data lake are quite recent, running on, on-prem or on the cloud, and dealing with unstructured file, using with blob storages, all those kind of things. You could deal with logs, text, image, videos, semi-structured, unstructured, and so on. So first of all, there's an incomplete support for use case. On the left side of the curve, well, BI, SQL analytics, fair enough, it will be on the enterprise data warehouse. But when it comes to data science and data streaming and machine learning and all those next generation use cases, you will have to switch to your new data lake platform. So you have this disruption here, which you don't want. You actually want a unified platform to handle both. The second thing is governance. Well, when we talk about governance and security on an enterprise data warehouse, we're talking about table access control. You can create users, you can define who got access to what at an attribute level and so on. That's great, works well for SQL, but guess what? On the right side of the house, well, it's not working well because enterprise data lake are all about files and blobs. So governance and security is different. So again, you have this split here in between those two models. And finally, talking about the data, well, you have a disjointed and data silos. You will have to deal with copy subsets of data on different places. You have to think about how we will going to sync data warehouse tables as well as data lakes tables and so on. But yet, this was the number one solution that we're seeing amongst our customers. Now there's a solution. You don't have to go with this coexistence journey anymore. You could think about how would you be able to handle all kinds of use cases, from machine learning to SQL to BI to streaming and use cases and so on. How will you be able to just have one single security and governance approach for all kinds of data sets on all kinds of clouds. And finally, how you will going to be able to have an open and reliable data platform to efficiently handle all types of data types, from structured to semi-structured to unstructured, things like tables, things like videos, things like binary files, and so on. That's where the notion of Lakehouse comes into the picture. And that's what Databricks is providing as of today. You will be able, by moving to Lakehouse, to leverage the best option of all. The Databricks Lakehouse Platform first is built on open source and open standards. Remember, Databricks is a creator of really famous and leveraged open source standards. Talking about compute, well, it will be Apache Spark. At Databricks, we do have our own version of Apache Spark, which is way faster and simpler than the open source version. Talking about storage, we have built a format, open source format called Delta Lake. And Delta Lake will sit on top of your classic cloud storage and provide reliability and performance, not only for data lake and data engineering workloads, but also for like BI workloads. It's multi-cloud. Well, you will just have one consistent data platform across cloud. You can just leverage Databricks and you will be able to run some of your workloads on Azure, some of your workloads on AWS, some of your workloads on Google's and so on. And finally, every single users, every single data citizens, no matter if they are BI users running on data warehouses or data engineers or data scientists, they will be able to collaborate using just one single platform. So this notion of simplicity is actually the number one here, in the sense that you want your data teams to collaborate, and that's how you're really driving insights and you're going on the right side of the curve. So the Lakehouse is basically a combination of both all the great benefits of an enterprise data warehouse and all the benefits of a data lake to handle semi-structured, unstructured, to do data and AI, data science, all those kind of things. And think about it, Databricks not only is able to replace and cover an enterprise data warehouse, but we're actually faster. On the latest benchmarks, and you can go on Databricks benchmark here and use this URL, well, Databricks was able to set an official data warehousing performance record on top of our own open source platform, where you will gonna leverage the best frameworks out there on top of public cloud using Delta as a file format. Actually, we're faster on pure BI workloads than pure BI players. And not only we're faster, but also way cheaper. So there's absolutely no limits on what you can do with a Lakehouse platform. And you could actually be even better at running BI workload without having to deal with silos. Databricks obviously thrives within your own modern data stack. We know that you're probably leveraging a lot of solutions to handle and deal with your data on a day-to-day basis, from data ingestion platforms, no matter that you're using Fivetran, Informatica, Talent, ClickView, whatever. Well, you will be able to use it with Databricks. You can actually use Fivetran, and this will going to push down the ETL, the compute part on Databricks, so you can leverage the best of Databricks, the best version of Spark ever to have distributed computing, which is blazing fast with an enterprise-grade support in a really simple manner. Talking about data governance, and you can see here that we have this notion of Unity Catalog here, while Databricks is building its own solution to handle all governance aspects within the Lakehouse, we are quite open here, and you will be able to leverage your enterprise-wide metadata management tool, no matter if you want to use Collibra to connect with Databricks, or Immuta, Privacera, Elation, all those kind of tools will be able to connect with Databricks open standards. When it comes to BI and dashboards, that's where you will be able to use your favorite BI tool. If you're a Tableau fan, well, just connect Tableau to Databricks, and that's it. And you will have the best of your BI reports in a really fast manner. Remember, even faster than if you're connecting it to a pure SQL data warehouse. Same for MicroStrategy, Looker, Power BI, ClickView, whatever. When it comes to machine learning, well, you can obviously use Databricks as your de facto standard to do all things data and AI. But at the same time, well, if you want to use H2O.ai, you want to use SageMaker, MathWorks, Azure ML, well, feel free to do it, because you can, again, natively integrate with Databricks. That's also where the notion of ML Flow comes into the picture. Remember that ML Flow is our end-to-end lifecycle machine learning framework that we have created at Databricks, who got a huge adoption, who allows us to open the way we're doing machine learning with all those external vendors. Same thing with data science. Hey, you do not want to leverage Databricks notebooks? Well, you can leverage your favorite tool. You can leverage PyCharm or Jupyter notebooks or RStudio and just push the compute side, all the execution side on Databricks. And finally, data pipelines. Tools like dbt Labs, Informatica, Matillion are able to do push down on top of Databricks, so you get the best of both worlds. So Databricks, obviously, we're proposing different perspectives. The first one is what we're calling the data engineering workload. That's where you will be able to refine and design all your data, moving from a raw to bronze, to silver, to gold, and finally get the best of your data for your insights. Within Databricks, it's quite visual. You will be able to do data orchestration through Databricks workflows. You will be able to leverage Delta Live Table, which allows you to automate all this ETL framework from one version of your data to another one, the famous medallion architecture where you're consistently refining your data. And finally, you will be able to simplify data engineering with a curated data lake. Remember that Delta Lake as a file format will be able to provide you all the great benefits to get access to performance and reliability on top of your favorite cloud storage. The second aspect will be machine learning and data science. Well, on Databricks, we will basically provide the best of what you can find for an end-to-end ML platform. Based on ML flow, our platform will allow you to register models, to do some reproducibility, productionalize models in a really easy and simple manner, following the standards of the industry. You will, of course, need to think about reproducibility. That's where Delta Lake will come into the picture by allowing you to go back and revert to a specific version of your data set to run a specific version of your machine learning model for visibility. AutoML for citizen data scientists is also out of importance here. While most of the heavy data scientists are leveraging codes and Python and R and like those kind of languages, well, if you want to have a more automated / graphical approach to build your machine learning model in a more easy manner suggested by Databricks, you will be able to do so. When it comes to data science, the core of it is collaborative notebooks. You will be able to have all your data scientists working together in just one single unified platform. Dashboards will be here for interactive analysis, native support for Python, for Java, for R, for Scala. All those things will be provided directly to you. And finally, Delta Lake as a foundation for the data layer to be natively supported. SQL workloads are also really important. Remember that Databricks is actually able to do BI workloads and SQL workloads on top of Delta Lake in a faster and cheaper manner than enterprise data warehouses. You will be able to have a native SQL interface for analysts. We have basically created a specific view for SQL users. You don't have to think about compute, to think about Spark, to think about Python or R, whatever. You will just have your favorite view here when you can just create some SQL statement. It's native, it's really easy to do. If you want to leverage your external tool again, feel free to do so. Otherwise, we got it to you. It's directly in the platform. It will gonna support all BI tools to directly query all your data into your data lake. And finally, while Lakehouse is all about having BI workloads as well as data science and machine learning, as well as data engineering, well, governance is really important. At Databricks, we have created a specific building block called Unity Catalog that will allow you, as the name is mentioning, to govern and manage all data assets from warehouses, from tables, from columns, from data lake files, from machine learning models. All things dashboards, all things notebooks will actually be governed in a unified manner. And think about it, that's a really important aspect when we are pushing for Lakehouse, because you want to be able to apply the same kind of governance amongst all your different data assets. When it comes to capabilities, we have built a bunch of capabilities and we're continuing to add more capabilities into Unity Catalog. Most important, obviously, data lineage. You want to understand what will be the impact of changing this specific table all along the data journey till the end of the rope, where you will see like BI reports, all those kind of things. You want to be able to restrict control going to an attribute level. That's what Databricks is providing. You want to create security policies. You want to table, to tag table or column. You want to run some auditing to understand, okay, well, what happened exactly on this specific data asset, who played with it, who had an access to it for data governance purpose and compliance purpose. And finally, you want to have one single place where you will think about how you will going to share those data sets amongst different stakeholders. That's where Delta comes again into the picture with Delta sharing, which is also an open source standard that we have created and pushed to the open source community. Thank you. If you want to learn more about Databricks, feel free to go on databricks.com and review all the use cases that you can do with a lakehouse.